bottom right, there's those three dots, and you hit start recording.
Three dots. Start recording. Whoa.
Like yeah, like are you using your wait, or did you turn on depth of field on Skype or something? I was like, dang. Cool. Well, thank you for taking time to have a quick chat with me. Sorry you can't see me anymore because I
Of
can't
course,
can't figure my stuff out.
no worries.
Um, but I wanted to have a quick chat about sort of what, because you obviously have an awesome weight loss journey and you support a lot of different people who are currently losing weight or want to lose weight or runs the gambit, right? So I
Mhm.
wanted to see if you had any insight from when you first started. I know you shared it a lot on your channel and in different instances, but like
Mhm.
maybe start from the beginning really quick and give me what was your starting point? Like, how did you get going with it, or what caused it?
Well, there's like a lot of things that kind of I think went into it. But just like kind of starting from I guess like my starting point of wanting to lose weight. So I was 20 years old and I was 360 pounds at that point, and I'm like 5'8". So I honestly might have been even heavier, but I always say 360 because that was the heaviest weight I saw was like 340, and I had already lost weight for a little bit, so I just kind of was like, oh, I probably lost like 20 pounds. But honestly, like it might be heavier than that. But I was that heavy at 20 years old, and so like for me, death was kind of always on my mind. As scary as that sounds, I was always thinking about the fact like of how much my size was affecting me, right? Because when you're that big, like it's no longer just like an annoyance. It's a legit health concern, right? And so I was like always afraid if I felt any chest pain, or always afraid like if things were like I just was always afraid of it. So like I remember I would be afraid to be at home alone because like if something happened, there wouldn't be anyone there. If like I had a heart attack or something like that, no one would be there to save me. And so I ended up getting so 20 years old. I was invited to a wedding, which was in Utah. I live in San Diego, California, so we ended up driving. So it's about a 13-hour drive. Before the wedding, I had to go shopping to get some clothes, and that was a terrible experience. I mean, that was pretty normal for me, right? Standard, hard to find clothes when you're that large. I was wearing a size 5XL shirt and like a 56-inch waist at that time. So really hard to find clothes. And when I finally found some stuff, I was actually really happy with it. I thought it looked super fresh. So I was like, sweet, this is gonna be dope. So then we drive up to Utah, and like I said, it's a 13-hour drive. The whole time I'm drinking soda, eating junk food, just like no water. I mean, just like my normal day, right? And then when we got up to Utah, I ended up like getting out of the car, and I almost fell back into it because I was like so dizzy and like really lightheaded, and that freaked me out because like I said, I was always like I was aware of my mortality a lot, and I was always afraid of like things happening because of my weight, especially at this point. And so that scared me, and I kind of played it off before, like, oh, you're okay. I was like, oh yeah, I think I just haven't drinking enough water, and like I have a headache, so I'm sure I'll be fine. So can I have some, do you have any like Advil or anything like that? So they ended up giving me some, and the whole trip I was like, because I was there for a few days, I was just afraid. And then the wedding, whatever happened, and then we came back home. I saw the wedding pictures, which again I was like super stoked at how fresh I thought I looked. I looked back on the pictures, and I was like, "Geez, man, I was very big." And so it's funny, the shirt that I bought, when I would sit down, the button would unbutton like on my gut because of how big I was. So 5XL shirt was starting to become too small for me. But then like a few weeks passed, and then I was actually binge watching Miami Ink. So I'm home now, right? Binge watching Miami Ink, and like every episode, I would like see these people that have really cool tattoos, and at the time, I only had like the tattoos that are on my forearms, right? And I was like, man, I would love to get tattoos other places. But at the same time, I was like, well, I'm never gonna get them on my upper arm or get on my chest or my legs because I never show those anyway. So what's the point? And then a guy came on that had lost a lot of weight. They asked him how he did it, and he said, I mean, something along the lines of, I just started eating better and moving. And like, it wasn't even really what he said. It was like my mindset was just at the right spot then, because I was literally eating a double entree plate of orange chicken and fried rice from Panda Express with a large soda. And but I like finished the food, but I was like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and like I'm gonna start this. And that was my starting point. I went and I got a haircut, I got some water, and I bought some sandwich stuff because I didn't really know how to eat healthy. And the reason I tell the story from the wedding was because I think that that was a really important thing to happen right before like what I call my click moment, which was when I was watching Miami Ink.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like I can relate to some of it. Obviously, I've never been to that point where, I've never had to wear anything over a 2XL, which is pretty big, but I'm also a football player big, so it's like
Yeah.
semi-normal. Um, and I definitely have, mortality on my mind, but I also feel like I'm the type of personality that doesn't necessarily that doesn't hit me as hard as others. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to die. I don't want to die tomorrow. I want to live as long as I can, but it's not something that like I think I've told you before. I've been in the hospital twice. One of them was not because of weight issues. It was because of some other thing that I won't go into. But the second one was because of my current diagnosis, ulcerative colitis. I was in the hospital for 7 days. You would think that that would be a turning point to completely change my life. But I, immediately started eating bad. I think part of it is mindset from the doctors. They don't help you as far as food is concerned. They say eat a regular diet. You look in their menu, it's like hamburgers, fries, lasagna, iceberg lettuce salad with Italian dressing. You're like, wow, this is a awesome menu.
Mhm.
So, but the things that I do relate to is, when we're talking about size, I don't really fit in all of my 2XL shirts right now, which is
Mhm.
starting to worry me. Being over 300 pounds is definitely a turning point for me. And then there was one other thing that you mentioned. It's kind of escaping me right now. Um, but yeah, so super interesting. So I don't know if like any of that would necessarily, because I've had many of those moments that you would
Mhm.
think would turn me around. So I think my next question would be, how did you change your relationship with food then? Because like you just said, you finished watching that show, you were eating, a full on big guy meal with a
Yeah.
giant soda. The next day you kind of switched it around. What made you, or how did you make that transition? Because obviously you just said what made you make that transition, but
Yeah.
how did you do it? Did you just cut everything out, or?
So for me, it was what I call the common sense diet at the start because again, like I didn't buy any sort of diet. I didn't really buy into. I never really bought into like certain types of diets, even when I was really large. Maybe I should have, but uh, I just at the time, like I just did what I call the common sense diet, and it was cutting out things that literally, no matter how much information and knowledge you have about nutrition or how much you don't have, which is where I was, these things are unhealthy, right? So like
Yeah.
soda, that's my thing that I would cut out always when I would try and lose weight, and there was a ton of times where I tried and lose weight, and I do it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it was like soda was always number one thing to go because like everyone knows that soda is not good for you. Um, and then it was fast food and then junk food. So I cut those three things out, which ends up being a lot of what my diet was. I didn't really cook at home very much, if at all. And so it just turned into, okay, I'm going to eat sandwiches and like get salad stuff and like just try and make better decisions because when you're as far gone as I was, it's very easy to make better decisions, right? Like
Hmm.
when you have 100, 200 pounds to lose, you can make some changes that are very simple that will net a good amount of results, right?
Oh
When
yeah.
you have 100 pounds to lose, you cut out soda, you might lose just 30 pounds just from that, right?
Hmm.
Everyone's different, so it's not going to be like that for everybody. But like the more weight you have to lose, the smaller changes you have to make. So again, I was just making smaller changes, and then from there, it just kind of progressively got like, okay, I'm going to learn a little bit more. I'm going to find out what calories are and maybe how to count them, or at least understand how to look at labels and understand how many calories are in the things that I'm eating and drinking. And then I realized, wow, liquid calories are a huge thing. And so cut out all liquid calories instead of just soda. Because you stop drinking soda, but you're still drinking those naked juices or whatever it might be, and you're like, holy crap, there's like 300 calories in this bottle. So you just like I slowly started to realize the stupid things I was doing. The
Hmm.
stupid things I was doing, um, diet wise. And so that's kind of where it started, just a really simple approach to it. And again, it was good for me because of how large I was. That simple approach netted some really good results. And then I always say, like, results will drive your motivation up. So seeing me losing 30 pounds, like, I wasn't the person that had lost 50, gained it back. Like, I failed so fast and so hard on most of my other diets, or most of my other lifestyle changes or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, lose 15 pounds, 10, 15 pounds, and I was over it. So the fact that I had like lost 30, I'm like, holy crap, this is actually working. Like, I was the person that would joke around and say I don't have a metabolism because I can't lose weight because I had literally not had any success in it at all, like any real success. So I just thought there's all those people that say I have this condition, this reason, that reason, and some of them there's definitely true. Like, there's definitely things that make losing weight harder, and I thought I was one of those people, but I wasn't.
Yeah. No, I had that same thing, metabolism. I used to say that all the time during football. I was like, yeah, well, I have a slow metabolism, so that's why I'm a giant.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Like what you were saying about the one thing that I can relate there is the fact that every once in a while I will eat something and just kind of shrug it off. Or especially when I was training super hard, I would eat a certain way just because it's like, oh yeah, I'll burn that off tomorrow. When really I probably burned off like half of it and gained the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like, go ahead.
that's a really dangerous like habit to get into, is like treating, like, I hate when people say earn this, earn these
Yeah.
calories, I hate that, because that
Yeah.
is like, that can, like, that's a legit, there's like a form of bulimia that is exercise bulimia. It's like you eat and then you exercise a lot to burn those things.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a fan of that kind of mindset that people will get into.
Yeah. I don't think I ever used the term earn for myself, but I do agree with that. It's like you can't make everything about, a reward.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it because you want to do it, not because you're going to get something
Yeah.
out of it. It's
Yep.
the same thing with anything, right? If you offer to do something for somebody and you expect something in return, that's going to net you negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just do something because you love doing that, then you're going to get nothing but positive results from it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was I going to say after that? There was something specific that I was going to go. This is the problem with me and like doing podcast style things, is I always have like a billion thoughts go through my head, and then they evaporate. Um,
It's good to write stuff down sometimes.
yeah, I'm going to start doing that actually, because there's another one that I want to do, mainly with creators, and especially ones that use it for business, but also have like a social media style bit going on.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that clicked with me on the past podcast that I was talking about that you had just did, with the person with the relationship with food,
Mm-hmm.
was or another thing. It's sort of like what we were just talking about, is like, if I am on a quote unquote diet, or like I'm trying to watch what I eat, and then for whatever reason I mess up and I eat something that's not necessarily on the good list, I'm like, well, I messed up. Might as well have 10 more of those cookies, because it's like, why not? So I guess,
That's the danger of like putting, like, we were talking on the podcast with Daniel. So Daniel's lost like 100 pounds since I've known him, and it's about putting like morality to calories.
yeah,
We tend to, and I mean, it's very normal, and it's not like you're a terrible person if you do this, but like, we tend to say this is good food, this is bad food, right? Like,
uh-huh,
cookies are bad, you can't have those when you're trying to lose weight. And while it might not be smart to eat a ton of them because there's going to be a ton of calories in that, one cookie, especially if we're talking about like a regular cookie, it's going to have maybe 90 calories, unless you're talking about like a huge giant one. But like a regular homemade
yeah,
cookie, it's not going to have that many calories. So eating one is not that big of a deal. It's just most people don't do that, right? But if you don't look at it as these are bad, these are good, if you just look at it as like, this is nutrition, these are calories, is one cookie going to end your diet? No. Is eating 7 going to make you feel terrible and like not make you feel very good, and it's going to be a lot of calories? Yes. So like, maybe
yeah,
don't do that, right? Same thing with like a donut or something like that. Donuts seems to be like one of the biggest cheat meals, right? A donut, a regular, unless you're talking about these gigantic donuts, but like a regular donut, say from Krispy Kreme, is going to be like 300 calories, maybe, so it's like, most people can fit that into your diet. So it's not about saying this food's good or bad. I don't really like doing that. I mean, but again, there's like obvious things, like I said, like soda, I avoid that still because it's just not worth the calories to me. Like,
Yeah.
why would I want to drink, that many calories of just straight up sugar when I can get food that's going to make me feel a lot more full? So it's a hard, it's definitely something that I think that is learned over time. You can't just expect yourself to have this really terrible relationship with food with, maybe you're just eating whatever you want. You're super overweight. You're trying to lose weight. You're not going to go from that relationship with food straight into, oh, okay, everything's okay to eat and I can be very balanced with everything. It's like, no, you're probably going to have to be a little bit more, I don't like using the word restrictive, but you're going to have to show a little bit more restraint at the start. But eventually you want to get to a point where you can enjoy any type of food and just be smart with the decisions that you make.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the dilemma that you place yourself in if you use the term good and bad, because you've demonized half of like what you can eat, and then when you go to eat it, your mindset turns into like, well, shoot, I either need to like punish myself or F it, I'm just going to eat all of it. Whereas you can go to the mindset of, I think it might either be in the Zone Diet pamphlet from CrossFit, or it's something else, and um, it is ideal food and non-ideal food versus good and bad. So it's like this food you can eat
Yeah,
as
like
long as it fits within your situation. The other thing I wanted to mention too, though, is while using that ideal and non-ideal, um, one of the big issues, like for me at least, is like I don't usually overeat, and I fit in enough good in my diet to where, at the end of the day I probably either break even good and bad, or one of the big issues is like I'll have something daily, right? So like I enjoy energy drinks, not the sugary kind. So like I'm not drinking a ton of carbs, but there's a bunch of other stuff in there that's probably not great. But what I'll have in the morning a lot of the time is a donut. I'll have a donut every single day. Now, it might not be a lot of calories, but having that every single day is probably not the best for
Yeah, and
anybody to do.
if you look at it weekly too, it's like instead of just looking
Yeah.
at calories for a daily, because we were talking about this on podcast too. Instead of just looking at it daily, if you look at it weekly, one donut isn't that big of a deal. But if you're having it 7 days a week, right, that's an extra. Say the donuts, I'm bad at math, so 200 calories. That's an extra 1,400 calories 7 days a week. And then say the donut is a little bit bigger, it's 300. That's only going to compound to I think like it was like 2,000, 2,100 calories a week.
Yeah.
So that will add up. So it's like, again, it's not saying these foods are bad or good, but it's like, do I want 2,100 calories of my weekly calories to go to this one donut in the morning? Is it worth it? If it's worth it and you're able to lose weight while still doing it, I'm not going to say you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I probably, if I was a coach for you, I would advise against it, right? Like it's about, yeah, when things become routine to where you're not even thinking about it, that's where people have issues with, oh, I've been losing weight and now I'm not losing weight anymore. And their routine has become they're having something at lunch with their coworkers and they're not even thinking about it, and they've been able to lose weight. But then once you lose that 50 pounds, you're going to have to be a little bit more strict with your diet, right? When you only have that last 20 pounds to lose. So it's like you have to start reining things in a little bit. And it's hard to do that when you feel like one of the issues that a lot of people have, I just made a video on my channel about weight loss plateaus. One of the issues that people have, and I had this as well, is when you're losing weight, you feel like you're putting so much into it, and then you start seeing results, and then you feel like, man, I really deserve these results. But at some point, that work you're putting in, it's no longer going to net those results, right? Because you've lost 50 pounds, you only have 20 pounds left to lose. Now you have to make some other changes, and it's hard for us to do that because we already feel like, well, I'm just already putting in so much work. I'm already doing all this stuff. Why can't I just continue losing weight doing that? And then sadly, it's just not how the body works.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't think I've ever reached a plateau. I always typically just reach a point where I stop doing what I'm doing, and I'm actually a very routine person. Like that is probably why I have a daily donut or I have a daily energy drink. I used the analogy with a friend, and he was like, "Holy crap, that was nice plug." I was like, "I'm just stuck in a Westworld loop." Like I'm just one of those robots. I wake up in the morning, I got to go to the gas station, get my donut and my energy drink. I take those down, do some editing, and then I'll ride my bike over to this grocery store, which is around the corner. I'll either have a large sandwich, which is way too large but so tasty, sushi, or I'll do a salad, which the salad is the best option, but I probably
You
don't
don't
choose that
have that
most of
every
the time.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have this like routine, and when I'm in a good routine, it's exactly the same, right? I go to the gym, I work out, I fast for the entire morning, and then I only eat between 2 and 8 p.m. And when I'm doing that, I'm typically eating really good food because I don't really have time to go anywhere to get these bad foods. So it's like getting myself into the good routine. For whatever reason, I'm not finding myself in that routine anymore. I don't know if it's because I haven't committed to a new gym yet, and I'm going to be moving in November, so I don't want to commit to anything out here in San Jose. So like, what was the thing that you did then? Because I'm sure you had temptation when you made that switch. Because it's not just a matter of like, you had common sense, yes, but
Mhm.
when you did approach a time where there was a tasty treat in front of you, or you wanted to have that soda because you remember how tasty it was and you wanted to go grab it, what was it in your mind that you had? If it was like some sort of anti-trigger or something like that that kept you from indulging.
That's a good question. And like it's hard. Sometimes it gets hard for me to like really think back because it's been like
Yeah.
6 years, right, since I lost the weight.
Yeah.
But honestly, like when I'm trying to think, I really think a big part of it was me just really being so stoked about the progress that I had already made.
Uh-huh.
And so I wouldn't say that it was like fear of losing that progress. And I'm sure part of it was, especially at the beginning when I didn't really understand calories or really understand how I was losing weight. I just understood I was eating healthier and now weight's coming off, right? So like I think that part of it might have been fear, but I think a big part of it was just how unbelievably stoked I was that I was finally losing weight because it had been this battle for my whole life, right? Like
Yeah.
I was I was obese growing up, so it was like, oh my gosh, and then like people being very supportive, like man, you look great, like that's always nice. That's why one thing I always say is like try and find a community that is supportive and like again, I know everyone doesn't have that in real life with family. Like some families really can be like sabotage people. That's why I say like maybe make an Instagram that's all about weight loss and try and find a community there, or find one on Reddit. Like the Reddit subreddit Lose It is like a really good community. Like there's communities everywhere that you can try and attach yourself to because that's a huge help. Like there's a lot of studies right now that show like having a supported community is a very important thing when it comes to losing weight. So I would say, but like yeah, like but that was before I had any sort of Instagram or anything like that. So I didn't have that community, but I had my people in my real life. You know, my mom was like she had a lot of guilt because of how large I was, and she
Uh-huh.
felt very bad because of that. So everyone was just really proud of me. But like to answer your question, I think it was mainly how awesome I was feeling and how proud of myself I was, and how much I didn't want that progress to go backwards. So it made it relatively easy for me not to make like the stupid decision, right? It made it pretty easy for me to make the right decision because like that maybe that gratification I knew I might get from having that XYZ whatever food it might have been wasn't worth like how amazing I was actually feeling because like honestly man, like growing up like my whole life I just felt sick, right? Like
Uh-huh.
I didn't feel great. And so I was starting to finally feel like regular and I just didn't want to lose that, I guess.
Yeah. I just got to find that new routine. Because I think I've had moments in my journey, because it's like the stock market. There's a lot of highs and lows in my journey. Because right out of football in 2010, I was tipping 300, and then I found CrossFit and I got down to like 270, went back up because I started a job, went back down because I ended the job and was, coaching, went back up because I started a new job, went back down because I found Neil Maddox in the CrossFit Extreme, and now I'm trending back up because I got sick, and from then on I haven't figured out, I haven't recovered. I really haven't, like in the last 2 years, because I went down to 250 because of I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything after being in the hospital. And then when I was finally able to eat, like I felt like I was comfortable with putting food in my mouth. I was like, I'm putting all the food in my mouth because it's
Yeah.
been a while. And since then, it's just been like this slow trend to where I am right now, which I think I just did dip under 300, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Been working out 3 days in a row, and going to keep that going. Um, but it's just finding that routine again, because, during that journey, on those times where I was losing weight, I did feel the same way as you, where it was like, I'm feeling so much better. Now,
Mhm.
one major difference is right now, the way I feel is 100% different than I've ever felt in my heavy times. Like, I do feel like what you're just saying. I feel like hell when I wake up, and it's probably
Mhm.
because of all the caffeine I have in the day. I don't feel great after certain meals. I don't feel amazing when I'm playing with my kids because, I can't keep up with them right now. I'm still athletic. I just slower, and it sucks. So I just got to find that mindset that's like, I want to get back to where I was and not feel like an old man at the age of 32
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
30.
I would.
How old am
I
I?
mean,
Shoot.
I can't sit here and act like I know everything you've been through. I mean, we've been friends for a while, and I've seen some of the ups and downs. So that's why I always like to say everyone's journey is different, right? So
Yeah.
someone that was exactly my size, like I would not know how they felt, 100%. But I mean, it's rough, man. Like I totally understand where you're coming from. Like what I would say for you to focus on more than anything, like I get that I know that you like working out, so I don't think that'll ever be too much of an issue. Like I know you said you weren't working out for a while, but like
Yeah.
once you feel like you can, I don't think that'll be an issue for you. But I would focus on like just daily movement is the first thing, like getting steps in a day. Like trying to be like, okay, like I don't know if you track your steps at all or anything like that, but
No.
I think they even like you can get a super cheap Fitbit. This is a Garmin watch, but not sponsored. But you can even use your phone. Like they have tracking apps. I'm sure you have your phone in your pocket most of the time, anyways. Like and just see maybe how many steps you're getting and try and up that by 2,000 for the first week, then up it by 4,000. Like just try and work on the daily movement that you might not even realize. Like there's the term NEAT, right? Non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Yeah.
So that's just a fancy word of movement that's not your exercise. Like increasing that. So going on walks. I mean, you have your children, so you can go on walks with them.
Yep.
Just like increasing that daily movement, because then you are going to be burning a few more hundred calories in a day, and that's huge, right? So, like instead of like stressing too much about like, oh, I need to really hit it hard in the gym every day, especially with like getting back from being sick. Like you don't want to dig yourself in the hole again. You know, that's
Yeah.
just kind of what pops into my head, like what I would kind of focus on if I were you. But again, I can't sit here and say like I know exactly what you're going
Oh
through.
yeah. No, that makes sense because I get probably an hour. Like the last 3 days, I did work out because I'm doing street parking now.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super awesome, easy system to follow. Um, and it's just like, you know, basic. There's so many different tiers of the type of workout you can hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it, and I'm not like trying to go all out like I used to. I'm just trying to get the workout in. So if I need to take a break, I'm taking a little bit of a break in the AMRAP that it is. I'm not doing outside of that hour to hour and a half is moving from my desk much,
Exactly.
right? And like you said, I do take my daughter for a walk to Zanotto's to get another energy drink, most likely after her first nap. But like, there's a walk, so I earned it, right? No,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but I once I finish that, I'm sitting playing with her. I'm sitting editing. I'm sitting most of the time. I have an up and down desk, so what I probably should do is just set a timer to where I'm only sitting for X amount of time and standing for X amount of time, and then also sitting another time to where I just go back into the house, get some water, come back in. Maybe
Yeah.
not have such a large glass that holds 24 ounces of water. Maybe go with the small one so that I have to go get more water
Yeah.
inside the house.
Or even like do like little 10-minute walks, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just
Yeah.
like down the street or whatever. Like you don't have to get all your steps in at once. Like you don't have to be like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to go on a 2-hour walk now. It's like, no, I can just you can do a few 10-minute walks and you
Yeah.
just like try and find little ways to sneak in activity into your day that maybe you would have just been sitting down. Again, that's gonna look different for everybody. Everybody's job is different. Not everybody, like you work from home, so you could go on a walk. But if you're
Yeah.
working at a desk where you cannot leave, you're not gonna be able to go on just 10-minute walks, 4 or 5 times during a day.
Well, I mean, first of all, if you have a job where you cannot leave your desk, please quit or
Yeah,
realize that you are in a
that's
sweatshop.
that's killing me, man. But
That's
like
problem.
again, like that's why it's not one size fits all when it
Yeah.
comes to weight loss and stuff. Like I believe it's calories in, calories out is the most important thing. But figuring out what is the easiest way to be in a deficit is going to look different for every single person. And so like that's why I like to talk to people, and like if I'm going to work with them, like let's find out how can we get you in a deficit that doesn't feel like, because if it feels like work constantly, it's not going to be sustainable. Like that is the most important thing. If you feel like you're killing yourself daily, you can do that for a few days. Like I've talked about this on my channel before, but that common sense diet got very unhealthy for me because I went from common sense eating healthy to, okay, now calories are the enemy. This was bad thinking. Calories are the enemy. I need to avoid them at all costs. And so I ended up dealing with binge eating because of how much I decided to cut out of my diet. And I had this mindset of, well, if I can do it for one day, why can't I do it every day? That is very unhealthy because you can do a lot of things for one day. You can fast for a single day, right? Like people do fasting all the time. Nothing wrong with that, but it's like you can't just think, well, I did it for one day, I can do it for 7 days or whatever. So it's if that's a dangerous mindset to get into. So it's a balancing act, and like I'm not at all like it sucks that I dealt with binge eating, but at the same time, dealing with that has taught me a lot, and I've learned a lot from those experiences to now I'm hopefully able to help other people with it. So it's like, yeah, it sucks I dealt with it, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people that's like, man, I wish I never dealt with that. It's like, no, I dealt with it because there was a reason, I think, so.
Yeah, I don't like the phrase everything happens for a reason, but I always run into situations where that's such a true statement, and then what does happen to us shapes what happens in the future. So like your journey happened, so now you have the tools to help others or continue to be a healthier person. So cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. That was awesome. That was a lot more than I think was I was thinking it was going to happen. So thank you again for taking the time to do this. We just you answered today and we did it today. Boom. Done.
I can talk about this stuff for forever, so
maybe we'll try to do another one then, because I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways we can run around this topic, and talking to you hopefully will help me kind of change the next few days because I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm going down to LA, so there's going to be a whole lot of potential temptation to not do what I want to do, because one of the things that definitely helps me, like you said, build a community. My community is vlogging, because not only do I have people who are watching the video and want to see me potentially change, I see myself when I'm editing. Like I think it was 2 episodes ago, or 2 videos ago. This is literally the 4th video. I was working out with my daughter, and I'm sitting on the assault bike, frontal angle, and I'm looking at my body. I'm like,
whoa, yeah.
Well, all right. There's a nice little midsection there. I will always have love handles. I feel like I'll be the leanest in my life, and I'll still have love handles.
Well, that's most men, man. Like,
yeah,
I get messages so much of, oh, how can I burn? Like it's always love handles and boobs, right?
Yeah.
Guys just hold their fat in their lower stomach a lot, and then a lot of people, if you have a lot of fat, you hold it in your chest. So it's like you can't, like, for me, when I competed and I was 180 pounds, I'm like 205 pounds now. And I'm relatively lean. It's not like I'm shredded, right? But like I was as lean as I ever want to be. I still had a little bit of love handles. It's like it just is what it is. But yeah, dude, like especially videos, because pictures you can like angle things you don't even realize you are, and you look better than. But like when you do a video and it's like a shot from far away or it's like a whole body shot, you're like, that is what I look like. There is no hiding.
Yeah, no, and I get all the angles, and then I look at old videos. I'm like, huh. Wow, because the one big pitfall that people don't realize is when it happens over time, you don't realize it's happening until you finally see that side by side, right? So like I didn't really feel like I was gaining that much weight, and I actually stay a certain weight, but my composition changes. Like for whatever reason, I will shift muscle to fat and vice versa. So I'll stay 290, but all of a sudden I'll look completely bloated versus somewhat defined. So that was one of my issues, was like I was gaining weight without seeing it until I finally saw it side by side. I was like, oh, shoot. So, all right, man, thank you. I got to go get my daughter. She's been awake for a little while now. She's been chilling in her crib, which is good. Not crying, I don't think, unless the monitor's broken like usual. But, all right, thank you again.
For sure, man.
Have a good one.